Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Hold on, I forgot to plug in my mic. Oh my gosh. We are apparently live, but I am just completely messing this up. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Are we live? Are we live? Can you hear me in my mic? 1 second. The mic is not even plugged in. What a disastrous start for the stream. You guys see me futzing around with my mic. This is just great television, isn't it? Okay, hold on. Do I sound better, everybody? Do I sound better? Are we live? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Speaking of the Devils. I am your host, Ryan Novozinsky, joining you, as always, from my Devils studio right here at Prudential Center, the Devils media room. Was the site. The Prudential Center was the site of the Devils' 4-3 victory over the Montreal Canadiens tonight in overtime. Timo Meier ties it with about minute 7 to go in the third period. Devils, good overtime tilt against one of the best teams in the league in the Canadiens, and they end up victorious thanks to a Jesper Bratt game-winning goal in overtime. Dougie Hamilton goes down with injury. We got some updates on that, kind of, after the game. We will dive into that in a second here. But thank you all for joining us here on Speaking of the Devils. Very much appreciate you. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to share the link. Tell your friends. I know we're kind of in a weird, different angle today. It's a long story, but I had to use the different tripod today. So you guys are just gonna have to take me from this up close and personal angle today. But let's dive into the comments section right now, because I think the biggest takeaways kind of speak for themselves. Before we get to the comments, it's just like Markstrom had a pretty crappy game, but ended up, kind of riding the momentum and making enough saves to get the Devils the win. Again, the Timo goal, the goal that he really needed there. That's a goal that he'll take a million times out of a million, and he sure needed that one after having some decent opportunities over the past couple of weeks, but not potting really any over that West Coast road trip, and not finding him as much puck luck as he wanted to. Jesper Bratt, another case in that as well. I think that he's a guy that could have used a goal. Everybody that could have used a goal tonight scored. And that includes Andre Palat, who gets his first of the season, his second point of the season as well. That includes Cody Glass, who came back from injury and immediately scored with, gosh, that was like very early into the game. Gets the Devils up 1-0 early, and from there, let's just dive right into the comments, guys, because I want to hear from you. Want to hear what you guys have to say. We had the comment section going early tonight. Let me know in the comments. What do you think of this camera angle? Do you like it being a little up close and personal? Do you prefer it back on the table? I know it's kind of like at a weird sort of like slanted angle. Like I don't know if I'm crazy about that. Maybe is that better? That might be better. I don't know. But let's dive in. Christopher here says that was quite an emotional roller coaster, but glad they pulled it out. This injury nonsense is really getting old, though. 100%. Devils are third in man games lost to injury this year. Oh, no, you're good, man. Sorry, someone just intruded into my studio. No, I'm joking. Oh gosh, he didn't close the door. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Stand by. You put something in here? Yeah. You're good. Anyways, yeah, quite an emotional roller coaster. But the Devils end up, they have the third most man games lost to injury this year. Just seems like bad luck, and it's like a revolving door too, because it's like one guy comes back from injury. Cody Glass comes back from injury tonight. Then early on, you thought it was going to be Dawson Mercer lost to injury. He left to go down the tunnel for a little bit there. And then, it ends up being Dougie Hamilton's the one that leaves with a lower body injury. I made sure to ask somebody about that after the game, as Sheldon Keefe alluded to in the press conference. He told me to ask somebody after the game, so I asked somebody after the game. But let's move on. Christopher says, great to see Cody Glass get right back on the score sheet. Hope Dougie's okay. Markstrom could have been better. He sure could have. At one point, it was like 3 goals on 16 shots. I don't know what Montreal ended up with, but yeah, not a great night from him. Obviously, does enough to stop it at the end. I thought he had some decent saves here and there, and I thought he had a good, strong start to the game. But not great stuff from Markstrom tonight. You want to see him be a little bit better, especially after getting paid. Wow, the everything's, I'm like all frazzled tonight. What's wrong with the stream tonight? But we have a lot of people in here, so I really appreciate that. Cody Glass, note on him, like I feel like he was ripping shots tonight too. Like he was sniping shots. He was having there's good release on that shot. It was kind of underrated in that regard, because he's more thought of as a defensive first player. Zach Chin says Timo had a phenomenal game, and I'm happy he finally buried one. Hopefully, Dougie isn't out for any period of time, but with this team's health luck, I wouldn't be surprised to see Casey for Saturday. Yeah, someone better tell Seamus Casey to turn around. I know he's on his way to Utica, but pump the brakes there, Casey. The team's injury luck has been terrible. And especially on that right side of the defense, like that's not good. Especially it's the top guys that are going down too. That's brutal. Let's move on. Zach Chin says, I don't care what people say. Markey kept this game close despite a couple soft goals. His goals save above expected was only negative 0.48. Great game from him. Far from it. Unacceptable. Cannot happen game. Absolutely not. Yeah, look, I think those soft goals just they stick out like a sore thumb, man. I mean, it's just like the who scored that there was like that soft rebound. I think it was Kapanen. No, yeah, it was. It was the Kapanen goal. Just brutal soft rebound chance from him there. And then it was the Evans goal where it was just like far out, like the right face-off dot, and that's not exactly a sniper you're dealing with there. So not I didn't think it was a great game from Markstrom. I think certainly you want to see better from him, especially after again getting paid. Zach Chin again says also it feels like Luke is pressing for his first goal. He made a lot of questionable mistakes handling the puck in the ozone. The like you just mentioned here, the Caulfield was almost disastrous. Again, Markey came through. The Caulfield, like that was a brutal sequence from Luke there. Turns it over, and then Caulfield dashes down the ice and just gets two prime chances right there in the slot off a breakaway gift wrap there from Luke Hughes. Caulfield's super quick too, but like my God, like that cannot happen. And another thing with Luke is like it's the he's just not getting his shots through, like he can't shoot through traffic, like he always gets blocked. Like it's like once he figures that out, I mean, it's like watch out, but like you got to get that ability, man. I mean, your brother's able to do it. Dougie's definitely really good at doing that. He's got to perfect that shooting through traffic kind of thing because he always gets blocked. Andrew Kalor says, gotta love having some Cody Glass back in the lineup. What a boost to have him back, 100%. Timo and Bratter stepping up in clutch moments. What a great battle to get the win. Yeah, and look, like I think that a lot of Devils fans were kind of scarred from that. The woes of that West Coast road trip, right? Where they thought that once Montreal goes up, they're not going to get back in this one. But the Devils proved tonight that they're never really out of it. Timo obviously scores with like a minute 7 to go or something like that in regulation, and it winds up being the equalizer there, and then the Devil, and then Bratt buries it in overtime, and he's able to secure that win, the 10th win for the New Jersey Devils. They are the only team in the NHL with 10 wins. If Montreal had won this game, they would have been the only team with 10 wins. So that was a battle between two early on heavyweights in the Eastern Conference. I think that would be a hell of a playoff series. Let me know what you guys think about that, but I think that would be high scoring, awesome affair. I'll tell you what, like there were spurts tonight where I was like, there's no, like I could have sworn like it should have been like 5-4 like early on in the game, but it was still like 2-1. So that was very interesting. Andrew Clore talking to Zach Chin there. Zach Chin again says power play is also some concern. Yeah, 0 for 5 tonight, really bad for the power play. Uncharacteristic for them. Keefe always likes to switch it up, and that's a unique thing that he does. I'm more of a get chemistry kind of guy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let's move on. It's just like this is the Andrew Kalor and Zach Chinso show so far. Um, as much as I appreciate cycling through zones, through the zone, sometimes you need to just keep it simple and get pucks on net. Just look at Montreal tonight when you do things happen. No doubt about that. There, Andrew. Yeah, look, I think the Devils try to be, sometimes, especially late, try to be a little too creative in the ozone, but at some point, just pepper the other team with chances, and you have enough good shooters to where it'll probably go in. Zach Chin says Keefe doesn't sound too confident that Dougie won't miss time. This team is the worst injury luck I've ever seen. Yeah, no, he look like I don't know that he didn't give too much. He didn't get too much, information about like the injuries tonight, but definitely didn't sound overly optimistic. Zach Chin says, "Ooh, Keefe just snapped at Novo." I think that was fine banter. I think it was, I thought it was okay. It was just like, if there's I understand the sentiment from the coach wanting to, protect his team from revealing the injury information. That's the league, right? Like that's everyone always talks about the league being bad about showcasing injury information, and that's totally fine. But if a guy is shown on a broadcast, with the cast on, I'm gonna you have to ask about it. That's a question you have to ask, to try to get specifics on the injury. And I'm not even asking, I guess you try to ask what the injury is, but I was more asking it so we can probably get a clearer timeline, because the defensive struggles have been so palpable without Brett Pesce that it's like you want to know when this guy's going to get back in the lineup. But I can understand why Keefe is not showing injury information. Stan McCune says, Novo, why is it that we never get any injury info or info what's going on in the NHL? Injuries happen and nary a word. No offseason rumors of any substance, no Woj bomb equivalents. Why is the NHL like this? I think it's just the physicality of the sport. And it's like, I don't necessarily agree with this. Like, I don't think that if somebody knows that, Timo Meyer has a knee issue, that people are just going to go magically like run at Timo's knees. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that's something that happened in like the 80s or something like that. But I don't think that's a trend that would continue today. Maybe there's some like, grinders, enforcers that might, carry that out. But I think that the court of public opinion wouldn't really favor those guys too much. So um, it's the physicality of the sport, and it's the fact that people just think that they're gonna, that they're gonna get run after. But I'll tell you what, like in this evolving age of gambling, of injury transparency. I mean, you just saw this NBA, gambling scandal where it's like the coaches are pawning off LeBron James's injury information. It's like the league, the NHL needs to be more transparent about these things at some point. If gambling is going to be so rampant, then you have to have something like that be transparent. Let's see. Gerald York says, I cannot wait for Brown to get back. Glass looks like he's finding another level to his game. Brown, Glass, and Gritsuk is going to dominate. It was awesome early in the year. Tonight, that line was awesome. Once Brown gets back, it's going to be, back to full form. And I'm very excited to see what that looks like. Excuse me. Andrew Kalor said, interested to see what Fitz does this year before trade deadline. Need to go shore up that defenseman group. And another top six guy for sure. That's the luxury item that you want to get. That'll probably be more of a trade deadline move. I think they, I've always been of the belief that they're going to try to, push some of these chips in and try to do that. But as far as maybe, maybe you do go get like a defensive minded defenseman to really shore things up. So we'll see. Zach Chin says, Novo, I'll be there Saturday. Will I be seeing the Reds for some morning beverages? I wish, Zach, I really wish, I wish that I could be drinking during the pregame. That would be great. But unfortunately, I have a job to do. Unfortunately, it wouldn't look great if I did some drunk streams. And the most unfortunately of all, I won't be at the Saturday game. I'm going to be in the lovely plains of Oklahoma because I have to go to a family thing out there. So I'm going to be out there, but we're still going to be streaming after the game. By the way, I'm still going to be streaming from the beautiful plains of Oklahoma. Killabush says Jordan Kyrou. That is all. He was scratched tonight. He was scratched, a healthy scratch from the Blues tonight. I think he would be an awesome addition in that top six. Yeah. Denise said, Keith got you flustered, Rye. LOL. I don't know about that. No, again, I totally understand the lack of injury information and stuff like that. But it's just one of the questions that, journalistically you have to ask, kind of thing. If you saw it on the broadcast, you couldn't just, couldn't just not ask that. Mikey Mike says, what's the record for most injuries in the first 15 games? I don't know the exact answer to that, but I will say that the Devils are not first in man games lost. The Panthers and the Golden Knights have more man games lost to injuries. So, you know, uh, take of that what you will. But they're definitely not the record breakers right now. Though with this Dougie one, we'll see what happens. Luke FYB says every game we get a player back, the hockey gods take a player away. Yeah, it seems to be again like a revolving door of suck injury luck. Lou says, why are the Devils dropping like flies? We can't stay healthy. I was going to ask Keith about this after the game, but I didn't seem to want to field many other injury questions. So, I kind of read the room a little bit. But I was going to ask, what do you chalk it up to kind of bad luck? Like with these injuries, do you chalk it up to, I don't know exactly. Like I wanted to hear his perspective on that. And how do you manage that? Like, how are you going to try to manage it? Because the Devils have 10 wins right now, and that's excellent. And they're, most wins in the league. But how do you manage that? We'll see how the Devils do in these next couple of games. Big test tonight, and they passed. Even with some injuries in the lineup against a really good team. Can they do it again? Can they repeat that again against another really good team in the Penguins, who I think won again tonight and are maybe tied with the Devils in the Metro? Off to a start that I certainly did not see coming from the Pittsburgh Penguins there. Nick Santola says, happy to get the 2 points, but incredibly disappointed by the game they played like crap. Up and down, the lineup, very vanilla on the power play, and Markstrom outside of a couple of moments was bad. See it differently? No, not really, Nick. I thought Markstrom didn't have his best game. I thought, again, did enough to survive, but that's, you don't want to see, I got to see exactly how many shots Montreal got tonight. You don't want to see a game where Montreal puts up just 19 shots and 3 of them go in, right? Not the best showing from Markstrom tonight. I totally agree. And it's just like these soft chances, these low chances of the low danger variety. It's the and it's the soft rebounds too. That's kind of the most concerning part. Denise said, at this point, I'd take Palat over Hamilton. Guy gets injured way too much. Moving on. You don't want to wish injury on anybody. Dubzilla says Timo played so well tonight, was a bruiser. Yeah, 100%. Who did he check? I think it was was it Lane Hudson? Just bullied him, and I think Hudson was even keeled over a little bit afterwards. It was Timo was a bully, and I'm glad that he got rewarded with the goal because he was freaking on fire tonight. We just adjust the angle. I'm not crazy with this angle, guys, but you're just gonna have to roll with the punches right now. Oh, Nico says, so my PSAT score came in 40 points off the average. Worth it. Nico, running bit on this show. Nico forewent studying for his PSATs to listen to Speaking of the Devils post-game live. I forget after which game, but it was during the 8-game win streak. So you guys should be more like this Nico character who is missing out on studying and joining every single one of these streams. Nick Santola, Glass was quite impressive, actually, 100%. And I'll tell you what, too, it's the shot too. It's the offensive mind that I like to see from Glass tonight. It's like this is a guy that came in. It's just like, oh, I was expecting just to see a defensive mind, defense first forward, and that was it. But no, really strong showing from him early on this season. Sorry, I'm just checking Twitter as I'm doing this. See if there's any more. Is there any more updates? Oh, I guess there's video of where the Dougie injury happened. It looks like, oh man, not really great theater of the mind here. I'm not going to go, with all of it. I'll retweet the video right now so you guys can go check that out. But seems to be where that happened. Just retweeted it if you guys want to go check that out. Dubzilla says, can't even comment on the defense with Dougie leaving, but the 5D did an admirable job against a really fast young team. I'll tell you what, that Montreal team is quick. That Montreal team has a lot of skill. That Montreal team reminds me a lot of you. So for this Devils team that was already was already pretty out of sorts defensively, out of sync defensively, for them to do what they did tonight was certainly impressive. Rumham86 says, got to get a D-man if Dougie is out for more than a few games. Depth is tapped out. Yeah. Is that via trade? Is that via call-up? I don't know, but at some point, something's got to give here. If he's out for any sort of time. Dubzilla says, reiterates, defensive depth's getting really scary. Sure is. Mikey Mike, are we just going to have to accept one Markstrom clunker a game? I think so. I think there was more than one tonight, though. Mikey Mike, soft rebound chance on the Evans goal, or no, just a soft goal from the Evans goal, and then it was the Kapanen goal that was just the soft rebound. Alex said our goalies are starting to have a problem stealing their pads to the ice and giving up easy goals. You know what, too? I just forgot. This is not about the pads, but this is another Markstrom, stinker tonight. Was the one that sailed? Oh, was that Lane Hudson one, right? Or no, it was who was the other freaking who got that goal? Was it Hudson? No, it was I thought it was Dobson, but I guess they give it to Kirby Doc. How are you a 6'6" goalie, and how can that sail over your head? It just doesn't seem that seems almost impossible. Noah says, our friend Noah says, what surprises me, all of these injuries happen, and then when someone like Cotter takes a stick up high, there's no blood. All of these injuries have me worried. Need Luke to get going. Don't blame me for being worried about the injuries. And yeah, that Cotter thing, well, yeah, that was it was of particular concern, and then it ends up being fine. That's hockey players for you, I guess. But yeah, Luke, learn to sail the freaking shot through traffic. It's if he can unlock that would be awesome. Moving on, Dubzilla 47. Siegs played a strong game, had some nice physical play, best game in a while. Yeah, slow start for him, but credit where credit's due. He had a really strong night, I thought. One of those guys that stepped up. Look, that's what happens when you have a top defenseman go down. You need a guy like Siegenthaler to step up and really shore things up out there, right, in the back end. He didn't do that on the West Coast trip, post Pesci going down, and quite frankly, he just didn't have a strong start to the season, period. Tonight he stepped up, and you need more from that. You need more from that if you're going to have success this season. Jay Snow, Markey let in another soft one. Dougie's depth missing time. He's got a lower body now. Yep, as I reported right before this stream, Dougie, lower body injury. Mikey Mike, Chalowski has been horrid. Why not give Ethan Edwards a run if they want to keep Casey down? It's just the left-handed shot thing, right? But I guess you can kind of tweak things around. Maybe for a couple games, can Luke go on the right side? I don't know. But yeah, they're going to have to do something there. Denise says, Markey looks better, but he is keying way too much. Yeah, we pretty much talked Markstrom all year. Jason, or sorry, all stream. We've been going and breaking down each one of his goals. Jay Snow says Luke really hasn't been great this year. I agree, but I think it's one of those things that he's got a good. I like the shot first mentality. It's just learn to sail them through traffic, and you'll be good. And clean up some of those blue line breakdowns and giveaways, man. Like that is like that Caulfield one was particularly brutal tonight. Almost cost you a goal. It probably should have cost you a goal. Thank goodness for Markstrom being back there and being the insurance. Not great. Andrew Kalor says, with the amount of injuries we've had, the Devs' first to 10 wins is incredible. Great point, Andrew. Great point. Yeah, I am blown away that this team ends up having 10 wins right now, given all the stuff that they've dealt with tonight or this season, injury-wise. So that is certainly impressive. They're doing better than a lot of these other teams that are dealing with injuries. Like I just mentioned the man games lost to injury. So it's Vegas is number 1. Florida's number 2. Buffalo's number 3. So you see, Florida's crap right now. They're 3-6-1 their last 10, and then they're 6-6-1 total. Vegas, I think, is okay. Like they're 7-2-3, so they're really good right now. But the Devils have 10 wins, first team to 10 wins with all their injuries and being atop that list. That is impressive. They're doing the best out of all those teams, obviously. Dubzilla, Chalowski definitely has not been horrid, Mike. He's actually been pretty solid. They need a solid stay at home to play for them. Yeah, they might need to get another guy in the mix here. Is that a trade? I don't know. I don't know, but I think that should be in the cards. I think it should be in the cards because everything should be on the table right now. Mikey Mike, Luke puck watches way too often. There was a play in the first. Markstrom was getting hammered, and he was just standing there. I was like, "What in the world?" I don't. I remember that sequence, but I totally believe you. But I can't remember specifics there. Andrew Kalor setting up for another potential playoff game Saturday against the Pens should be fun. Yeah, I wonder if Pittsburgh or can they sustain this like that. Crosby's a monster this year. I think Malkin's doing awesome this year too. So it's like and they have a couple young guys. Like they have that young defenseman too that's really stepping up this year as well. Carlson too, isn't he? Isn't he having a good year? Um, I wonder if this can be sustained. I was listening to Merrick today, and it was just like it just sounded like, they're confident that that at creeping up to 40 years old that he could just like that he's getting better. We shall see. Jay Snow, Luke still makes mind-numbing mistakes, and he's one of the worst D-men in the entire NHL in getting shots blocked. Yeah, that's been the real noticeable thing with him is just the shots in traffic. That's not been great. Jay Snow again. Luke was fourth worst in the NHL in shots getting blocked, and he's supposed to be an offensive D-man. It's something that I think that he'll eventually grow into, but right now it's just not there for sure. Thomas Gannett says he's not changing his angle when he's shooting, referring to Luke. Also, a great sign. This team already had 10 tubs with this many injuries. Yeah, we touched on that second point already. But a great analysis of what's going on with Luke. Like it's the angles, man. It's the once again. I can't reiterate this enough. Once he figures out that, watch out because then he'll truly be that kind of offensive defenseman threat that he is. We know he has the potential to be because his skating's great, and once he cleans that up and once he cleans up some of these giveaways, I think you're going to see an evolved version of Luke Hughes, and that'll be a game changer for them. Let's see. Rumham probably already been said. Some probably already been said, but missing Dougie on the PP is not going to help things. Yeah, I always thought that Dougie being the power play one quarterback always just made sense. I know that Keith likes to rotate things, and that's fine and well. I think you should have a little bit more chemistry there. That's just me, though. That's my philosophy, I guess. But they went 0 for 5 tonight, and that's not going to help things. Him being out, if he's out for extended time, which you hope that he's not if you're a Devils fan. Dubzilla, Luke is an offensive blue liner, but he's missing Pesh for sure. Still growing into a stud before our eyes. Yeah, again, I think that there's a lot of things that he needs to fine tune in his game, as any young player does. It takes a little bit longer for defensemen to develop, and he's not going to be a superstar like overnight, right? But you want to see some of these things get cleaned up, and we'll see. Maybe that would be huge. Like Luke Hughes developing some of these things almost becomes a bit of a player acquisition too at the end of the year if he ends up being able to fine tune his game like that as well. Let's see. Metalander says Markstrom takes naps. There's a concentration issue. It was closer than it needed to be. I agree. And again, we've talked a ton about how Markstrom didn't have the best night. Thomas Gannett, inject a 7-game series into my veins between these two teams. I think it'd be so fun. That's an Eastern Conference Finals that I think the league would love. You get the Canadian angle there. You get two high-flying, skilled teams that are kind of built similar, I think, and have similar superstars there. I thought Demidov is a freak. Let's see, Cole Caulfield. Their blue line is awesome. They got a lot of skill in that blue line. I really like the way that Canadian team is constructed. I would love to see these two teams duke it out. Dubzilla 47. I'll take frustration with excellence, right? Can't have Jay Snow says can't have those goals go in, man. Yeah, some of them were extreme softies. Jay Snow says Dougie is injury prone. Yeah, he suffered a lot of injuries here. It's in his tenure with the Devils. Hopefully this one's not long term, but we shall see. He's only been healthy 1 year here, and that was the 22-23 season, I believe. And that was a career year for Dougie too. Connor Brown's had injury problems too. Yep. as we see early on, obviously. I can't speak to his career longevity there, but yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. Um, Dubzilla, it's a hard spot. People get hurt every game. It's the way it is. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing. Like, is it's probably just a bad luck thing, and it's like, but the Devils this year are up there with the teams that have suffered the most injuries. So I can understand the fan frustration about it. Let's see. Rick Roma says it's hard to trade a guy like Nemitz or Casey when Pesci, Hamilton, and Covey are made of glass. And look, it is, but I just keep wondering, and I'll go back to this, like, and I'll beat this over the head. I just feel like the motive for Fitzgerald to keep all these guys in the system, is it because the depth concerns? I'm sure that helps, right? But I think that he's stockpiling these guys right now so that he can eventually strike on a big trade. Is that Quinn? I don't know. Is that top six wing? I don't know. But you need those are two areas that could certainly would certainly help this team. We'll see what it ends up being, if it ends up being. But I wonder. Jay Snow, it's not their fault. It's every sport. Some guys just get hurt more than others. Yep. And in hockey too, especially. Like, I hate throwing around I don't like to liberally throw around the injury prone moniker in hockey, just because it's such a physical sport, guys. It's such a physical sport, as you guys know. Stan McCune, if Dougie's out for a while, is there any chance Edwards comes in instead of Casey? I loved Edwards' game in the preseason. I'd love to see him get a look. It's just the left versus right thing. I wonder, if Keefe wants to tweak with that too much. He's already got so many young defensemen coming in. Do you want to, thwart them off and ruin some of their, vibe and chemistry by putting a lefty on the right side, or vice versa, righty on the left side, or something like that? I wonder. Parker Wright says, I feel bad for Dovesh. What a freaking stud young goalie that guy is. My God, he was awesome. Acrobatic saves, diving saves. He was a menace tonight. Devils had a lot of shots and a lot of great opportunities. Both these teams had a lot of, like, I feel like you looked like every 2 seconds they were just in the slot, in high danger chance. Even the fourth lines were getting at it. You even had like there was that sequence where it's like, okay, you have the first 2 minutes where each team, no, it was like the first 8 minutes, each team had one shot and one goal. So it was kind of a weird little game early on there. Has Covey had an injury before his knee? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. Dubzilla answers that for us. Covey's been healthy since college for the most part. There you go. No Kairu. We need someone in the lineup. We need some jam in the lineup. I know Blake Coleman's been popular. I know that Ryan O'Reilly's been popular. That's a Conn Smythe winner. That would be an excellent addition to this lineup. And I think that would be a lot of fun. And you know what? I'll tell you what too. Like he keeps getting thrown out in trade rumors. You listen to the national guys; they keep throwing out Ryan O'Reilly's name. So that's a name to watch. Will the Devils be in on him? I think they should be. Rick Roma says Kairu gets scratched and the Blues win 3-0. Just saying. I don't know if that's I mean, you're right. Like, that's a good discipline thing. Maybe that had an effect on the team. I don't know. Thomas Gannett with a great comparison. Penguins equals last year's Capitals. How are the Capitals doing? I know that Logan Thompson's having a good season, but they're kind of like up and down, right? Yeah, 6-5-2, not the best start. And then Pittsburgh is one win away from double digits themselves. So we'll see what happens there. Mikey Mike, the power play has been frustrating. Someone's got to shoot the puck. Yeah, look, the MVP of the power play is the guy that yells shoot in the arena. Like, that's just the way it is right now. Got to start shooting. Can't just keep cycling it through. Not great. Not has been overall. Just tonight. Yeah, no, I mean, look, over 5 is not the best stat line. Hudson hit him. I guess you're talking about the team, I think. Let's see, but that will do it, guys. We're gonna wrap up because I need to go. I have an early flight in the morning that I got to catch, and let's hope that with this government shutdown that I still have a flight in the morning to catch. Thank you all for tuning in to Speaking of the Devils. Sorry for the weird technical difficulties at the beginning. That was not even technical. That was just human error. Sorry for the quick delay where someone came into our great studio here at the Prudential Center. We will be going live after the Penguins game. I will still be going live. We'll be going live right after that game. So noon, or like, what is it like? It'll be like 2 p.m. Saturday, whatever. I know the Devils play at 12:30, so we'll see whatever time it is afterwards. But please, please, please tune into that. Tell your friends about the stream. Share our link if you can. Like and subscribe. Please subscribe. Come on, please. We will talk to you on Saturday. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.